Hi everyone, this is Bram Stoffelen again, Child and Youth Finance International. Welcome with today's webinar on how microfinance can be more inclusive to children and youth. Together hosted between Child and Youth Finance International and the Microcredit Summit Campaign. I'll do a short introduction of the speakers and the topic. And first of all, welcome all of you. Let me start with one or two practicalities. When joining in, please mute your microphone just to ensure that we don't get any echoing. And if you have questions throughout the webinar or clarifications, then please type something in the chat box and send it to everyone or to the organizers, and then we'll take note of that and actually try to ensure that we take your comment as we go. So, welcome today. It's Global Money Week 2014, as you may have noticed. This webinar is on the occasion of that. Global Money Week is a global celebration of children and youth financial inclusion as well as financial literacy. Organizations and individuals all around the globe are undertaking activities, lots of initiatives and awareness campaigns to put child and youth finance as a subject on the horizon of everyone, to engage in through awareness-raising discussions and communication with children and youth, with parents, with microfinance organizations, with banks, with central banks, with the whole spectrum of organization that has anything to do with children, youth, and finance. So we're very excited to have this webinar today and to talk about ways in which microfinance can be more inclusive to children and youth. We, as an organizing organization, Child and Youth Finance International, we're a global network leading a global movement of lots of different stakeholders. And this ranges from financial institutions, financial service providers, banking associations, to financial authorities, education authorities, education providers, technology companies, NGOs in the broad sense, and academic organizations, and many more. And the goal is all around getting child and youth finance as a concept on national and global agendas, as well as on organizational agendas. We care about the topic of microfinance being more inclusive to children and youth. Microfinance has a focus, and this is something that was reinstated by Larry Reed, who I will be introducing shortly, and at the Microcredit Summit, the Partnership to End Poverty Summit in October in Manila last year. Where he really was saying, you know, it's important to go back to the root of microfinance and focus on extreme poverty, and that as a global movement is what we very much relate to. If microfinance becomes more inclusive to children and youth, you know, we ensure more economic opportunities for children and youth as such as well. And we are looking towards both financial inclusion of children and youth as well as to the financial literacy side of things. So that's sort of the general interest on our end, and why we're really excited to have today's meeting. We have several people on the webinar today. I will be moderating. First, we'll give the word to Walid Ahmed, who is Communication and Liaison Manager at BRAC Tanzania. And in that capacity has worked very closely with children and youth and the programmatic dimension of that. And we'll be bringing some very exciting and very useful insights for microfinance institutions or other entities for that matter, wanting to work with youth in particular and children on youth economic issues. He will be presenting directly after me for about 15 minutes. And then we'll continue into a discussion with Larry Reed as well as with Walid, who is the director of the Microcredit Summit Campaign. The Microcredit Summit Campaign, as most of you will know, is the leading organization globally supporting the cause of not just microcredit, but microfinance in the broad sense, and actually is sort of shifting its focus really towards ending extreme poverty, lifting 100 million households out of poverty. So Larry will tell more about that. Microcredit Summit Campaign and Child and Youth Finance International are partner organizations. This partnership was also announced at that same summit in October last year, and we'll be discussing a little bit more around that today as well. But without further ado, I would like to start by giving the floor to Walid Ahmed to present in about 15 minutes on the program that BRAC Tanzania has, which really has done some amazing things working with children and youth, girls in particular, and their economic empowerment. I don't want to give too much away, so Walid, can I ask you to take the microphone and present to all of us. Nelun, I'm seeing that you have your camera on. Yeah. Anyway, Walid, let us give you the floor and enable you to do your presentation.
Thank you, Brian. Hello, everyone. This is Walid Ahmed from BRAC Tanzania. I have been working in Tanzania for the last 3 years, and especially BRAC has been working here since 2006 with a large scale in mind. By this time, BRAC has reached 2.6 million men, women, and children. This is not in rural, I mean in urban areas, but in rural areas, in the rural communities. So the objective BRAC is always cherishing is about to reaching those rural areas and reaching those people who are not getting benefit from other institutions. And by this time, BRAC is also employing more than 1,300 staff around the globe, around this particular in Tanzanian program. And where we are working, if we try to focus that one, we are currently in 18 regions out of 30 in Tanzania, with field offices around 112 and regional offices 11. So to go to that extent, BRAC used different programs, integrated programs, which are microfinance, small enterprises, agriculture, livestock, poultry, and youth development. We started with microfinance program in 2006 and reaching about 350,000 women, only women, in the rural areas to increase their income. And we have a portfolio around 24 million USD. Beside that, to a little bit good amount of loans which we are providing to a bigger client those are small enterprise projects, and they are basically individual people we are providing this loan, and they are around 3,000 entrepreneurs. So while doing this, we have a very good key learning that this is not the way that we can actually help the community. So we are start focusing on agriculture, poultry program to empower those farmers who can come to the because in Tanzania more than 80% are agriculture based economy. So we try to empower those people, and basically this is going to help us in our future pathway that we are doing here in terms of those initiatives that BRAC has taken so far. So after that, what we learned basically that we are working with the current generation, but what will happen to the next generation? So then we started to think about those women when we are working with other women in the community, and we could figure out that basically we need to work with another generation, that is the upcoming women we have. And then we start focusing on youth and basically on adolescent girls who are working in different areas and who are basically neglected from the community. To start with the adolescent program, we focused mainly to protect those adolescent girls by increasing awareness, knowledge, and developing life skills on reproductive health, unwanted pregnancy, early marriage, HIV, STI, and child rights. We have another objective in mind, promote awareness on gender discrimination. This is something that we learn from the community. While we are working with those women in the village, they were coming up that we don't have a very good relationship with our daughter. And sometimes they also ask them to go out and try to get their own livelihood. So that creates a problem for like family bonding. So we start with another this objective that we are working on. Basically, is to promote a meaningful participation of these adolescent girls in the field that affect their lives on education, livelihood strategies, and to become active agents of the social change, because a major portion in the society are those girls. And finally, the poverty alleviation. In mostly that we are facing here, there are some communities, where we are facing these problems like early pregnancy, early marriage, like bribe, gender discrimination. Those problems we are facing over there. Those are the challenges to lead a good life. And for that reason, basically, we have identified a few problems over there, and we also try to specify those objectives. For instance, we have a quality life that for the adolescent girls, especially for those vulnerable girls, with an objective for their social and financial empowerment. I'm telling social because there are a lot of issues, social issues that we are facing, and these are really important to control. And to do that, we basically divide our objective into 6 components that we are trying to emphasize is Adolescent Girls Club, life skill-based education, livelihood training, financial literacy, microcredit support, and community participation. Adolescent Girls Club are basically a safe space for those girls where they can gather together and spend some good time, some quality time, and they can discuss. I'm repeating this one. They can discuss their daily activities, their problems, and in those clubs, we are basically providing them some booklets, which are mainly on early marriage, early pregnancy, reproductive health, HIV, STI, gender discrimination, child rights, and drug abuse. So 10 booklets we are providing them. And besides, we are providing them also guidebook on violence and family planning. There are some things that they are regular practicing. Those are critical thinking, creative thinking, decision making, effective communication, coping with emotion, coping with stress, problem solving, and negotiation. So these are the things when they are discussing in the class, it really helps them to start thinking about their future. And just to empower them, we are providing them livelihood training, which includes tailoring, beautification, food processing, nursing, nurseries, vegetables, agricultural products, photography training, and poultry training. So far, we have provided around 3,200 trainings for those girls. And after receiving this training, they are basically getting financial support from BRAC. And this financial support, before getting this financial support, we are providing them good financial literacy training, which is a 7 days training. That is business planning, budgeting, capital management, marketing, customer service, profit and loss calculation, savings, and record keeping. So these are the main priorities they need to know, they need to understand before they start their business. Those girls who came to join our class between the age of 11 to 19, if we just give them money to do some business, it might be a complete waste of money, because they might not be able to use it properly. So that is why BRAC is thinking not to give them money directly, but to give them some kind of training first, try to socialize them, because they are going out of the society, they don't discuss their problems, so bring them together so that they can discuss, and then give them money to do some business. And this money is nothing like we are giving them $1,000. No, we are giving them less than $100. So that is something is considerable, because at least you can start with something. If you're stuck in a problem, you can discuss in the class. If you're stuck in some kind of marketing issues, there are some other girls in the community. You can talk with them, you can share your thoughts. So those are something that is really helpful. And another important thing is the group solidarity, which we believe that also works as a marketing point and a learning house. And this we can say that this kind of things, basically, when a girl starts their business with a very young age, I mean, she might not end up with a very good result, but when they're in the group and they're discussing, okay, fine, today I earned this amount of money, I earned this amount of money, I want to do that, then those mentors who are in the class, they help them, no, you cannot use this way. So you have to use by maintaining your book, like accounts, those kind of things. Besides giving this kind of loan facility, BRAC is also arranging some kind of forums. Those are those we call Mothers Forum and Parents Forum, or Parents Meeting. In the Mothers Forum, we are providing a safe space. We are providing a good conversation dialogue for mother and daughter, who are both part of our class, so that they can negotiate, they can share their thoughts, ideas with a comfortable environment. So this kind of facilities we are providing to them. And besides, we are also thinking that those parents meetings, those are taking place once in a month. Excuse me. Those meetings are also very helpful, because without getting any kind of support, from your parents, you cannot do such a good thing, such a guideline. So we are also focusing on that. In the group meeting that those girls are getting this money, another good part is they are managing their accounts by themselves. It's their own money and they're putting it together. Besides that, to work with those girls, we are also focusing more on our staff who are working directly to the community. Normally, BRAC doesn't hire a very good student from the university or very experienced person from another which have a very good knowledge in the market and send them to the community to work in the community level. No, BRAC doesn't believe in that. So what we do, we basically recruit from the community. Whatever his education is, we try to do the best one. We try to take the best one, give him the best option. Then we try to give them training, and which is we have a training center in Dodoma, in the capital city. So over there, they're receiving a good amount of training. Then they're going back to the field. They know the community well. They understand those girls over there. They have a good acceptability in the community. So it also helps BRAC to grow to this scale, large scale. Right now, BRAC is basically working in 18 regions, but out of that, BRAC is currently working with these girls for only 4 regions, but we have a plan to make it double. And by this time, by this 8 years of time working in Tanzania, especially in Tanzania, I will say, because I believe that country to country there is a big difference. And for Tanzania, it's region to region, it's also very different. Those girls, their problems, it's always different. So the key learnings so far what we get is that the peer-to-peer session on life skill-based education are effective, very effective. And besides that, there are some issue-based dialogues between mothers and girls. Those are also helping them. Parents and community leaders' involvement have been build a supportive environment over there. And life skills like critical thinking, decision making, those are helping them a lot to develop their leadership skills. Apart from that, I'll also would like to tell about that this is going to the social part, and in case of the financial part that we have learned is that they have a very good potential in handling those cash because they have been well trained so far, and they are going to be the future leader. So the financial literacy training and the weekly group meetings are really helping them for their capital management. Besides that, providing different types of livelihood training is actually helping them to do their own thing. I mean, we are offering them a set of skills, whichever you feel comfortable, you take that one. That is also a very important thing. Besides, we are also in partnership with other organizations which are supporting us, providing them good amount of training, and also they are creating acceptability in the society. By doing that, we have also considered that we need to do something new. Basically, we need to do some kind of new activities with for the next generation and who are on the generation, those children. So going to the more deep in the society, we are actually now trying to establish pre-primary education so that we can address the problem of education as well. And besides that, BRAC is also facing a lot of challenges to do such kind of thing. In Tanzania, the challenges are, it's very difficult to define because the main thing is to get the sustainability of this kind of activities, because we are not only providing them financial support, we are actually making them to be able to participate in the financial inclusion by providing them good safe space, by providing them training, by helping them to build their leadership. And this is actually very difficult to gather the sustainability. And introducing, we are also introducing some new types of livelihood training, and also that is also very difficult to afford those livelihood trainings by partnering with other organizations. And besides, there is a good amount of migration which is taking place in Tanzania. Like today, the girl is here, sometime maybe 2 months later, she is traveling to other place. So it's a very difficult challenge. And another big challenge is achieve like long-term participation from all those girls in one area that I was just mentioning. It's basically like the availability of the fund to run this program. And apart from this, what next that BRAC is looking into, just to scale up the program and build sustainable partnership for long-term project. We are also trying to increase involvement of the community and the local government with this kind of activities, because once they are involved, they have a very good future. Publishing storybooks and also input some more magazines for those girls to understand those girls and to get the society, get the good picture that yes, they are also very important and they can help the society to grow. And besides this, we have a very good thing in mind that we are definitely going to work for those girls, for those financial inclusion, credit support, all those things. But next, we are going to be involved in nutrition, like which is very important for the upcoming generation. So BRAC is really looking into those girls. It's not only like adult financing, women financing, those are done, individual financing, okay, we are doing it. Then concerning those farmers, okay, farmers are good. Now those young girls, young boys, okay, fine, they are now learning. And then after that, those adolescent girls, yes, we are able to finance them, we are able to teach them how to do business. And then we are now trying to help those pre-primary children, and then the next generation is coming up with those kids and mothers. So we are focusing them now. And besides that, we are also having a big amount of concept that in Tanzania there is a very big need of this kind of support and financial inclusion. So whatever BRAC is doing right now with 180 clubs, we will be doing it by the end of 2014. It will be 360 club with a double amount of girls in participating. So we are really looking deep right now for these Tanzanian girls, and definitely we cannot do it alone. With the help of government and other institutions, BRAC is able to do it. And I would also like to thank you all, especially RAM and Child and Youth Financial International for hosting such kind of events and letting us the opportunity to talk about BRAC and its work. Thank you.
Walid, thank you so much. You know, this is really interesting, and in fact, a pity that we somewhat need to limit the time. But thanks for your efforts to compress this amazing story in just a few minutes. I was curious. One question before we get into you know, wider discussion with Larry as well. How do you shape your the sort of participation of children and youth in the design of your program? I'm curious as to the way in which their voices are heard by you guys as you develop and shape your program.
In that case, we are basically arranging a safe space for those where they were leading by a mentor, and they are actually speaking up there. It's very difficult because at the beginning they are very shy and they are not getting the comfort to speak, but once they are on, because they are from the same community, so they feel good in talking, they feel comfortable over there. And they used to sit once a week, so which is also helpful for them to get to know each other. So they are directly observed by the mentor, helping them a lot. Then our adolescent organizer and our community organizer, they are also supporting them. So in this way, we are actually doing. Right now, we have around 1,370 staff in Tanzania, where all of them are from Tanzania. So it's also helpful for us to get to know those root level problems.
Sorry, what was the number you mentioned? My line was bad here. I'm not sure everyone heard.
1,370 staff. 1,370 staff.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Walid. I want to take the opportunity to get Larry involved. I think what's interesting about having both BRAC's as well as the Microcredit Summit Campaign's perspective is sort of the field experience combined with sort of the systemic, you know, approach or the overall field. And Larry, I want to start with probably a more fundamental question is, why do you think microfinance should concern itself with children and youth in the first place?
Well, as you mentioned early on, Bram, we are focusing on the type of microfinance that reaches people in extreme poverty and facilitates movement out of poverty. And what we see is that movement out of poverty is often a generational journey, that the parents have access to finance and are able to stabilize their lives, but they put their investment into their children. And it's the children who often benefit, and it's the children's household who is the household that moves out of poverty and does better. And we think to support that generational change, it's very important that the children learn about finance, learn how to manage money well, and have access to financial services from a young age, so that as these young girls that Walid has been talking about, as they grow and are making decisions about their lives and what they will become, who they marry, all of those choices that they have, they will do it with the background of knowing how to manage their own money, knowing how to provide their own livelihood, and that will make possible a much different life for them.
Great, thank you. And I'm just curious, and this is also something that in a way came forward in Walid's presentation, is how do you think that when microfinance interacts and sort of involves this segment, what do you think the balance should be between financial and non-financial services as programs are being developed?
Well, you know, Walid talked about this balance that they do have, that there's a lot of training and mentoring that goes on in the program. And I find this is common in many of the child and youth programs, that it's not just providing access to financial services, but it's also training in how to use those services and how to manage money and how to keep books and keep track of the money that they have saved, and plans for how they're going to use it. And then also there's the livelihood training that goes with it. What are the skills that these young people can employ? How does that turn into a business activity that can support them? And then the mentoring, pairing children with adults who have experience and show them the ropes is another key part. So I think all of these go together. And I think the reason it's important for microfinance institutions, I talked earlier about the mission reason, that it helps movement out of poverty and it helps sustain movement out of poverty through generations. But the second is sort of a long-term investment for the organization, that where people put their savings is one of the stickiest decisions that they make in their lives, that people generally don't change their savings bank very often. And so if you can start with a young person, you can end up with a customer for life, and that helps the bottom line of the microfinance institution as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you mentioned that. Actually, next week we will have a webinar with Maria Perdomo and the Youth Start program from UNCDF. Also with UCU, which is one of their pilot programs, and they published a paper on the business case, and of course you're talking about the long-term investment. I'm just very curious, also particularly when talking about the balance of financial and non-financial services. How do you look at the sustainability of these kinds of programs? Obviously, BRAC, as some of the numbers that are being mentioned by Walid shows, obviously BRAC is one of the leading organizations, also in sheer size, also in outreach and impact, of course. But if we talk about sustainability and sort of feasibility of these kinds of programs, I'm curious, from your bird's eye perspective over the field, how do you look at that?
Well, again, you have to calculate sustainability over a longer period of time. What you're doing is getting customers who have very low balances at the beginning, but it's a customer that will be with you for a long time. And especially as you invest in the training and the financial capability, that means the client's, the young person's need for financial services, and therefore the income stream that comes from them will grow over time. And so I think if you look at it as an investment, that it's one that pays off over a generation. The other thing is to look at how you scale this. It's something that works. The numbers work much better at a much larger scale. So how do you bring in people into the program that doesn't cost you a lot of money? I've seen a lot of programs that work through schools, and so the young people are already there, and they start organizing them into groups through schools or through churches or other places where young people would be gathering already. And then Walid talked about working with other groups too. There are organizations that have a mission of educating young people, and so having them help you out in providing some of these services. So on the one side, trying to keep the cost low, and on the other side, trying to invest in the client that's able to grow in their financial activities over time, and that's what makes it sustainable for the organization.
Thank you. Yeah, Walid, I was just wondering about that in terms of the partnerships and sort of the different organizations that you're working with, and also going by Larry's suggestion. What are some key players? I mean, schools were mentioned. I think government. Maybe some thoughts about the crucial partnerships you have to make these programs effective and scalable.
We are basically partnering with the government mainly. We are having an MOU with the Education Ministry here, and also we are having an MOU with the Agriculture Ministry. So they are helping us a lot. Apart from that, all the communities we are working with, from the community government, we are directly involved. We are directly involving them with our program. So that is the key points we are gathering. Besides that, for the private schools, those are running here, which is very expensive and is not affordable by those participants we are working with. So mostly it is the government side that we are working with.
Mostly government side is what you think. Okay, yeah. Now, in terms of partnership and sort of different delivery models, not every MFI might have the luxury of seeking out all its partners. I was just wondering about what do you think typically is the capacity, or what should be the considerations for MFIs when thinking about offering non-financial services themselves? There's some examples I think that work really well. In other cases, you see the drive to combine it directly with financial services is too high and might risk sort of the independence of the education. Larry, just wondering about some of the examples you have seen there.
Yeah, so most of the programs I've seen do combine financial literacy or financial capability training. In fact, the studies that have been done on financial capability training is that it works best when it's combined with active use of financial services, that you learn better if you're actually applying what you're learning as you're learning it. So this combination works very well. A lot of the programs use a curriculum that's been developed by Microfinance Opportunities, which is a support organization that does research on clients and then develops training programs around that. And so they have developed a curriculum particularly for young people, and that's been used in places like Bank in Mongolia and in Women's World Banking programs in the Dominican Republic and other areas. So I think there are tools out there for those organizations that want to get involved with youth that there are already training programs developed that can be adapted to the local context. And then, of course, BRAC has extensive training programs for this as well that can be used.
Yeah, I have a question. I think combined to Walid and Larry. And as I'm asking questions, I'm also urging people listening in, if they have particular questions that they like to have answered by either Walid or Larry on this particular topic, just to type them in, and we'll take the questions and try to have them answered. But back to my question. Yeah, Walid, I believe that in the setup of your program, there is no combination with savings, at least not in sort of a formal setting, you know, with an account and so on. And more generally, I was wondering whether micro savings as such, also given Larry's point about, you know, once you start saving somewhere, you're unlikely to move on. You know, might there be an interesting angle for microfinance in terms of combining micro savings for children and youth in particular in combination with education?
Yeah, that would be wonderful if we could able to do those form of savings, and that is a very good mixture of this kind of activities. But unfortunately, in Tanzania, BRAC doesn't have that license to take formal savings. But we are definitely doing it in other countries like in Bangladesh, in Uganda, those places where BRAC is working, they are taking savings. But we are also trying to pursuing those authorities in the government that we can get license to take this formal savings. But apart from this, we are encouraging our customers or clients or participants to do such kind of savings, especially in mobile money, because banks are expensive in Tanzania and they are very much used to with the mobile money in Tanzania. That is another aspect.
Larry, maybe some thoughts?
Yeah, there are some organizations that that work with savings that are using the village savings and loan approach or the savings group approach. And so, for example, Finca Uganda has girls saving actually in, they call it a kaboxi or a piggy bank that they save in, and then they bring it to the group and deposit it with the group. In LASE, in El Salvador, works with Catholic Relief Services, and they do the village savings and loans. So they have groups of young people, sometimes, and then that are saving together, and they save in a lockbox, and then they can lend that out to each other, or they can bring it to the to another group and deposit it with a group of their parents, and then as they gain capability, they can actually become borrowers from that fund as well. So there's a variety of ways of putting savings into it. So the mobile money that Walid talked about, a personal savings in a piggy bank, or a group savings account that is somehow brought into a savings group of some type.
Yeah, I attended a conference of an NGO once, which was looking at these savings groups that you were mentioning, Larry. And interestingly, there was a great interest with the NGOs to be working with MFIs as well as with you know, formal banks per se, to look at actual accounts offerings. However, at the event, there was maybe one MFI at that point. Of course, you know, one event is not enough to draw larger lessons. But I'm curious, what is your view on how natural it is right now for you know, cross-sector collaboration on these kinds of things? You know, partnerships between NGOs and MFIs on you know, the educational and savings side of of things. What do you think, some key challenges are there?
I think, the challenges are always just organizational, making sure you understand each other's goals and that they're aligned correctly, and there's a lot of management of the relationship that's required for a good partnership to work. But the benefits can be quite profound, because the MFI, if they're working with groups, they have people that are meeting every week or once every 2 weeks on a regular basis. And that becomes an audience then that if the NGO can provide valuable services, it can benefit the MFI because it gives another reason for the group to come together. But the NGO then doesn't have to incur the cost of gathering this group together. That's already happening. So there's a benefit that can happen there. It has to be done from the client's perspective, though, and does this bring value to the client? It's not just for the NGO or the MFI to say we've got so many people meeting in groups, but it's really, it has to be something that the client finds value in and can apply to their lives.
We got a question coming in from Nate saying, is there a place I can get youth training material with little or no cost to pilot this? Curious, Walid, if there's any resources that BRAC actually provides that others could use. Just curious.
BRAC can always help to that. There is no problem with that. And of course, for those kind of training materials, so we basically are doing it in local language. It's not in English, number one. Number two is which place you are going to pilot it. That is very, very much important, because you have to understand the community first, whether it's matches, because the training materials we are having, it's not same even with Uganda, so, which is very close to Tanzania. And of course, we can provide those training materials for piloting. Yeah.
Maybe to go on that point, Walid, about different contexts and their applicability. I'm curious, and Larry, you've repeatedly mentioned the focus of the campaign on extreme poverty, and I'm wondering, how do some of these youth-focusing, child-focusing programs change as sort of the, let's say, poverty levels of the served communities are changing? Some insight?
Sorry, Bram, was that for me or for Walid?
Sorry, Larry, it was actually for you in the first place.
Yeah, so the when dealing with people in extreme poverty, often the need is to look at stabilizing what's happening in the family's lives. BRAC has been involved in graduation programs that are aimed at the parent level, but then often that involves training family members as well. And those programs look at bringing basic services, making sure people have adequate nutrition that's needed, and then building on that to provide people with training and then opportunity to save, and then eventually lending for livelihood purposes. So I think as things expand, then it's, you've got young people in school, you work with establishing savings accounts through schools or through clubs of some type. Often those programs offer incentives for maintaining a certain level of account. So you get a pencil or you get airtime or something if you keep your account at a certain level. And then as children develop and get more capabilities, then they're also start into their, as they're older, they can start in businesses as well and receive sort of small loans for sort of a trial business, so where they can start trying to have their own income generating activity.
Walid, when we spoke actually in preparation for this call, you mentioned that some of the challenges you were finding was, I think, covering some of the most basic necessities of the child and youth participants in the program, and that it affected their effectiveness of you know, of entrepreneurship and sort of the livelihood lessons and so on. And how have you been dealing with this?
This is a very major challenge that we are facing, and we can only able to, you know, like trace that through the help of our community people, like encouraging them, increasing the acceptance of those girls and those participants in the society, you know, making a leadership and feel and give the ownership of the society for those participants, for those children or youth, whatever we are targeting. So that is the main thing that our mentor is working directly in those spaces, in those meetings, in those group meetings. So that is how we are trying to minimize this problem.
Thank you very much. And as we're going, Larry was also posting on microfinance opportunities, offering some resources which might help with Nate's question. And either as we go or afterwards, we will post some of the resources that we offer through our network as well, which may support. But I think one interesting overall question that we get as well when, say, we're talking to commercial banks about financial inclusion for children and youth, or educational programs. It's not uncommon that products or programs offered are actually a rather quick revamp of what was offered to adults, and it doesn't necessarily to the realities of children and youth. And yeah, Walid, I was just wondering in BRAC, how did you go about this when you were starting to deal with the child and youth segment? You know, was this a matter of, well, we need to, you know, offer something to a new segment, let's go about it as we did before and we'll find out where we go, or did you do a complete re-strategizing?
Basically, what BRAC motive is to, you know, like help the community work for the community. BRAC is not a profit motive organization. So all over the world where BRAC is working with the one goal, that to alleviate poverty. So keep that in mind. We face different challenges in the society, and to address those challenges, we found out that this is one important segment who are lagging behind and who are not concerned by those commercial banks and also those MFIs. So we have basically replicate our main microfinance system or operations into those, but this is not the mainstream microfinance. So those are taking care a lot with providing a lot of support and training. You can say like we are putting them in incentive care to do this kind of things, to handle with this money. And besides that, we are also trying to address some of the banks who are telling us that no, we cannot actually rely on those because we have to think about the risk. In that case, for BRAC, it is the community who are supporting us a lot. So we are not piloting it, we are actually doing it. Yeah, and BRAC believes in doing and going to the root of the problem and try to solve it. Though we are facing a lot of challenges with funding issues, that is true, but we are trying.
Larry, you want to add to that maybe?
Well, I think your point is a good one, that when you're working with youth, you need to start where they are and not start with trying to take an adult curriculum and apply it to youth. You need to have a program that is geared towards young people and is their first experiencing working with money and thinking about saving money. It becomes a fun activity for them, but it's something that they don't have the same experience with as older people might have. So the curriculum and the style of instruction needs to be adjusted for the type of client you're working with.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're at 3 p.m. Now. We started just a little later, so for those of you who have to go, we are aiming to post a copy of this webinar online as well. But we'll continue for another few minutes, just with one or two points of discussion, and then I want to give the wrap-up opportunity to Larry after that. So just a few more minutes. So I wanted to go a little bit into the education side of things. Walid, you mentioned the combining not just of financial skills, but also looking broader, some social skills, some livelihood skills, and sort of combining these things. Why did BRAC choose for this particular combination?
Because like money cannot give you the happiness in the life. There are a lot of cases that you are earning money, you are getting a lot of things, but you are not satisfied because of the community, because of the social status and other things. Now, for example, with money, like a girl is doing a very good business, but she doesn't have a good social life. So that is where BRAC addressed this kind of problem, and that is where we think that to combine, to bring the happiness in the society, in the community, we need to work with those social issues also to perform well by that individual, also in the groups. Besides that, we are also providing some livelihood trainings which are directly helping them in their business, because once you are trained, you are capable of doing your own. So that is how we actually started combining these three things together.
Larry, question, what do you think are the greatest challenges for MFIs wanting to undertake youth savings programs combined with education, and what do you think they could try to do about that?
I think the biggest challenge is to take a long-term view, to have a consistent view in the management and at the board level, to see this as part of the mission, a key part of the mission of the organization. If the mission is to help people out of poverty, then one of the best ways to accomplish that is by investing in the next generation and giving them a leg up in their journey out of poverty. And so I think that's where it starts, is just making a decision as an organization. This is something we're committed to. We're committed to making sure the next generation has better opportunities than our generation had. And once you do that, then it's important to look at what's happening in the lives of your clients. Who are you reaching, and what's happening in the household? Are they in extreme poverty, and are they moving out over time? If not, how can we adapt our products and services to both the parents and the children to facilitate movement out of poverty? So those are some of the key challenges. At our summit in the Philippines, we asked organizations to make commitments for what they were going to do in this area, in reaching people in extreme poverty and reaching youth. And so Child and Youth Finance was one of the organizations that made a commitment there. Another one was FINCA, and they have a program of working with children in a sort of unique way. So their goal is to see existing clients find who are the poorest people, and each village decide that they will be a poverty-free village. And so the people in the borrowing program identify people who are not ready for borrowing or financial services yet and provide them with training and mentoring. And this is done in pairs so that it's a mother and a literate child together who are receiving the training. And so they are working as a team, and in this way, not only is the mother able to engage in learning and a livelihood, but it also passes on to the next generation, and there's a partnership between the mother and the child in this. And so that's exciting to see that sort of thinking and creativity happening in both including children and in finding who are the ones that are still left out. And then another is BRAC Tanzania is making a commitment to this program of seeing 100 million move out of poverty as well. So I wonder if we could ask Walid to talk about the commitment that BRAC Tanzania is making.
Tanzania, like we have several programs, but particularly with this kind of initiative that we are taking is basically doubling our activities, our clubs. Like right now we have 180 clubs, which are safe space for those young girls, and making it to 360 clubs with 14,800 girls by the end of 2014. And we are really looking forward to it. And besides that, in terms of financial support, though we have started very recently, we have 2,000 girls covering $300,000 right now, and we also want to double it to 4,000 to support 4,000 girls with a financial support of $550. Yeah.
That's great. And Brown, maybe you could talk about CYFI's commitment and what you're planning on doing.
That's right. Thank you, Walid, and thank you, Larry. Child and Youth Finance International's goal for the end of 2015 is to include 100 million children and youth, to have them financially included, as well as providing them with access to safe or to high quality economic citizenship education, as we call it, the combination of social, financial, and livelihood education. And at the summit, the Microcredit Summit, or Partners to End Poverty Summit in October last year, we committed to two things. On the one hand, including basic measurement of poverty of households in our data collection, to understand if the situations of the children and youth that are being reached through financial inclusion on the one hand, and education on the other hand, that they are actually moving out of poverty as well. So that's one commitment. The other commitment is to ensure that in, I believe, 20 countries, we have action plans where through microfinance and related organizations focusing on ending poverty, that within those 20 countries there is a plan and follow-up action to have a child and youth finance agenda dedicated to lifting families out of poverty. I think what's really exciting about the collaboration with the Microcredit Summit is that there's a large overlap between the work that we're doing. Microfinance has a great opportunity to be inclusive to children and youth. I think we heard some great examples of micro savings in combination with livelihoods, social and financial education. And like Larry was rightly saying, I think the commitment of organizations, their leadership towards this cause is really at the root also to make sure that this actually happens. So yeah, Larry, that was from our end, our commitment.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be partnering with you in this, because I think as we work together, we can see the great overlap between the 100 million young people that you're bringing in and the 100 million households that we would like to see move out of poverty.
Great. So given that we're 10 minutes over time, and I suspect most of you to be busy people with busy agendas, I want to start wrapping this up. I want to thank Walid, and I want to thank BRAC for sharing the inspiring story today. I want to thank Larry and his team for co-organizing this during Global Money Week. And I want to thank all of you for listening attentively and you know, making time and being dedicated towards the issue of child and youth finance, and working towards you know, creating better futures for children and youth, and enabling them as well to be empowered towards that goal. So I hope you join into the remainder of Global Money Week. Please do go to our website, www.globalmoneyweek.org, or to childfinance.org. And next to that, on Twitter with the handle hashtag Global Money Week and at Child Finance, you'll be able to find the latest of everything happening around the world. There's more than 90 countries that have committed, and we've seen activities in a number more countries, but those final numbers will, of course, be available over the next few days. And you'll see stock exchange bells being rung. You'll have the opportunity to join into more webinars tomorrow on savings banks, and on Monday we are presenting with MasterCard a product development guide, which is aimed a bit more at large international financial institutions. But a lot is happening, and I think what's really important is that organizations and individuals like yourselves are taking on this issue or driving this issue, and you know, we as a network really drive on that. So we're extremely thankful for that. Thank you for your time. Don't hesitate to reach out to us in case of any questions or being involved in any way or the other. So Walid and Larry, want to thank you. Maybe a last word for the two of you.
I just want to thank you, Bram, for a great job in moderating this and helping to organize it. And Walid, thank you for your example and your hard work in Tanzania, and for all you are doing and helping young people and their parents there to be able to live better lives.
Bram, and thank you for taking such initiatives. And you're always welcome, and BRAC is really willing to work with you guys. So hope for the best. Best of luck to all of us.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you so much. This is the end of the webinar. I wish you happy Global Money Week, and look forward to working with all of you in the future.
So, Bram, are we supposed to give our children accounts in banks for Global Money Week?
You're not supposed to do anything, but we strongly encourage to start the conversation with your children. If opening a bank account is something that you haven't done yet, by all means do. You know, if the topic or you know, particular stories have not yet been discussed in the family, now is the time. And of course, this can be done at any point throughout the year, but this is a focus point for us to you know, create that momentum globally for people to start thinking about that.
Great.
So thank you all, and have an excellent day.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.